I got a question.
Tell me where in the
Warp
is
Kaldor Draigo. Hey, what's up? It's Cam back again with some more water. Today we're going to get some information on Kaldor Draigo through the infamously soothing voice of Baldermort, or Lord Baldermort as I call him. But before we do that, I would like to ask you to like, share, and subscribe. I am kind of close to actually getting this channel monetized. See, this is what YouTube wants a creator to achieve, and I'm kind of close. I'm meeting every metric except subscribers, so I would ask you, if you like the content, please hit the like button. That gets it out to more people, and think about subscribing. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right. All right, y'all.
Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and characters of the Warhammer 40k universe. Today, we shall discuss one of the true colossi of the setting, with the return of this character to the real world, as seen in the recent Psychic Awakening book, The Ritual of the Damned. I thought it appropriate to explain the importance of this event. And oh, how very, very important it is. For there are few characters in the present grim darkness of the future who are as storied as the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights, Kaldor Draigo. Long has his return been yearned for by his fans, his chapter, and the scant few forces of the Imperium who know of, or remember, this mighty titan. With the Psychic Awakening tearing the very fabric of the Imperium apart and threatening to capsize the entire galaxy into the flames of hell, the warp, it is a great blessing to the forces of mankind that he has returned to their number. Please see my reading of the Psychic Awakening book, Ritual of the Damned, for details. I think GW have actually knocked out a corker there, but I'll let you judge.
Hey, give me some information. Are the seals made of wax, or what are they? Because if they're made of wax, they would definitely fall off. Let me know in the comments.
So, gentle listeners, let us lean on existing wisdom to update us on this mighty knight, this true son of the Emperor, for I fear I cannot match the words therein contained.
Okay, I think we got a moment of silence right now. Yep, definitely a moment of silence.
To quote,
There we go.
Lord Kaldor Draigo, Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights. The tale of Kaldor Draigo truly began during the demon incursion of the world Acralem. Makar the Reborn had led forth a demonic army from the realm of chaos, and would be satisfied with nothing less than the ruin of not only Acralem, but the entire Vidus sector. It was inevitable that the Grey Knights would stand against such a threat. Together with 9 regiments of Imperial Guard and Space Marines from the Astral Knights and Flesh Tearers chapters, the Third Brotherhood of the Grey Knights, in whose ranks Draigo fought, descended upon the world. What awaited was one of the most terrible battles of that century. There could be little doubt that if the Grey Knights had not been there, Acralem would have fallen. The tide was only turned by their daring strike against Makar's Warp Fortress. It was here that Kaldor Draigo, a freshly ennobled battle brother, made a name for himself. It was Draigo who dealt the death blow to Makar, and so cast the demonic horde back into the warp. But the daemon clung to life long enough to place a vengeful curse upon his slayer. Victory is yours this day, mortal, but know that if ever you set a foot upon this world again, you and all who follow you shall walk with damnation for 10 millennia.
10 millennia, that's very specific. Like, what does it mean, walk with damnation? Let me know in the comments. I have no idea what he's talking about.
The Reborn, to Knight Draigo. Victory on Acralem saw Draigo acclaimed with the rank of Justicar, the first of many such promotions. For 2 centuries, Draigo served his chapter and emperor with unfailing distinction. He earned honours and glory, unsurpassed by any Grey Knight before him, save perhaps Janus himself, foremost of the founders whose deeds had shaped the Imperium in its darkest hours. He became Supreme Grand Master in late Millennium 41, following the slaughter of the previous chapter master at the hands of the demon Primarch Mortarion, and in the same battle.
It's Morty! Stinky Morty. What are you doing here? Have you taken a bath? Probably not.
He carved his forebear's name upon Mortarion's rotting heart, an insult that the demon has never forgotten. The death of the demon Primarch was quickly tempered by the dark visions of the prognosticators. Draigo's ascension to Supreme Grand Master had disturbed the path of fate, though none could foresee the consequences. 2 centuries after Draigo's victory on Acralem, an astropathic distress beacon brought news to Titan that Acralem had been invaded by demons once again.
Okay, I'm seeing a pattern with Kaldor Draigo that he is defeating people, but not killing them. This is bad. They are going to come back and get his revenge or whatever. Yeah, you got to kill them. They need to die. You cannot leave these wounds open to fester.
Upon learning of this, Draigo knew without doubt the Macaw had been reborn, and this was the Demon Prince's attempt to bring true his curse. Having so determined, Draigo gave word forbidding his chapter to involve themselves with Acralem, lest others fall prey to the doom that was his burden to bear. A duty his battle brothers bore unwillingly, though. To his knowledge, none disobeyed. Yet the world was not to be abandoned to its fate. Draigo took ship to Acralem there to meet his unfolding destiny alone. So it was that Kaldor Draigo, Lord of the Grey Knights, came once again to Acralem. He spoke few words, yet his grim purpose was plain to behold, as he trod old battlefields, reawakened to flesh slaughter. At the siege of Castle Gorseth, it was Draigo who unleashed the Psy Flame that swept the demons away, and he who struck down the plague-rotten abomination that commanded the assault. In the Tribarian Valley, it was Draigo who held rear guard in the narrowest part of the pass, holding the baying hordes of madness at bay, while the Cadian 912th fell back.
Okay, I heard Psy Flame. Please let me know in the comments, what is that? I know when he said the decaying horde, that's Mortarion. He's going through a lot very quickly, as if the listener is already supposed to know. I don't know. So I need your help. Comment. Hit the like button while you're down there.
Survivors of the retreat
Subscribe.
recount that Draigo held that rock-strewn corridor for 2 days, never once missing a blow nor taking a backward step. It would have been hard to judge which side held Lord Draigo in the greatest dread. The daemons, for the crippling losses he had dealt upon their kind, or the soldiers and officers of the Imperial Guard, who saw only a silent brute whose armor was slick with the blood of slain hellspawn. The confrontation between Draigo and Macaw took place upon the pinnacle of Shadow Peak, before the swirling warp rift from which the Demon Prince drew his unholy power. As Imperial Guardsmen battled against the braying demon hordes, Draigo sought his enemy of old, for he knew Macaw's death would end the demon's plans of conquest, just as it had so many years ago. On the edge of the rift they battled, the knight and the demon, each using every tactic at their command to break the other's guard. The battlefield rang to the sound of their titanic duel, to the clamorous strike of Nemesis' sword upon demonic blade, of silvered steel upon warp metal. The Demon Prince spat curses and insults at Draigo, but his words and sorceries could find no purchase. Again and again, Draigo summoned the sanctifying flame, Yet Makar merely laughed at the charring of his own flesh. Draigo could not keep pace with his adversary forever. Makar's blade glowed darkly with warp flame, and he unleashed a blow mightier than any that had preceded it. The demon blade struck home with a dull crack, shattering the nemesis sword halfway down its length and driving the Grey Knight to one knee. Makar bellowed with victory and brandished his blade for the final blow. However, Draigo was not yet spent. Roaring his battle cry, he rose up and thrust his sword's severed shard into Makar's black heart. With that one blow, Draigo delivered Acralem for the second time. As death throes racked Makar's body, so too did they begin to tear at the warp portal he had summoned. The rift's baleful energies began to disperse, and one by one, the demons of his armies faded into nothingness. Yet, before the portal closed completely, Makar had one final act of vengeance. With his last strength, the demon prince cast his talons around Draigo's throat and heaved the great knight into the collapsing rift. So did Kaldor Draigo pass out of the mortal world and into legend. The tale of
Okay. Did Makar die? Was his final act before he died throwing Kaldor Draigo into the warp? Did he go with it? Is he going to return? That's basically what I'm asking.
Kaldor Draigo did not end that day, as many supposed, for he survived his passage into the realm of chaos. Lesser men would have been driven insane by their arrival in the domain of the Chaos Gods, where damnation lurks upon every path. Yet Draigo's mind had long been hardened to the madness and seductions of chaos, and he somehow endured in this land where no other man could. For uncounted age, Draigo wandered that terrible, ever-shifting landscape. His path was strewn by demons who sought to slay him or seduce him to darkness. Yet through bitter struggle, Draigo overcame each of them. Atop the blood falls, with the acrid ichor of Khorne's fallen Chaos Champions, tumbles endlessly into the void. Draigo slew the great bloodthirster Karvoth. With cleansing fire, he drove demonic taint from the beast's great axe, and used the molten remains to reforge his sword, sundered in battle with Makar the Reborn, so long ago. He unleashed sanctified flame again amongst the writhing jungles of Nurgle's domain, and for a long time the gusting warp winds that buffeted him carried a charcoal stench and the tortured screaming of demonic vegetation. On a journey through the Whispering Meadows, 6 sisters, the chosen handmaidens of Slaanesh, sought to tempt Draigo with promises of glory, power, and all the myriad riches desired by mortal flesh and spirit. But their words could find no lasting purchase upon his soul, and he scattered the demonette's dismembered remains amongst the alabaster.
One booba, gynoclomastia, cancer. What is it? Gynoclomastia? Clemis? Hey, what's up? This is Editing Ken. I had to figure out what the word was I was looking for right then. The word is mastectomy. A mastectomy is a surgery to remove the breast tissue. Some of the skin and nipple may be also removed. However, surgery that spares the nipple and skin can now be done more often. The surgery is most often done to treat breast cancer. The word I used was gynoclomastia. Gynoclomastia in males. Gynoclomastia is the development of prominent breast tissue in the male. The condition can develop during puberty and sometimes resolve on its own. Other causes of gynoclomastia include exposure to estrogen, androgen, often taken secretly for bodybuilding, marijuana, and some medications. Rare causes include tumors, genetic defects, and chronic liver disease. Yeah, that's a female, so she had a mastectomy. Back to the video.
The grasses. At the gates of the inevitable city, the Lord of Change, Makchen, offered Draigo a path homewards, but in reply the Grey Knight smote the city walls and left the bird demon entombed amongst the ruins. However, the mortal world was not yet done with Lord Draigo. When the prophet of Jostero forged an alliance with the demon Nakari, he drew a portion of the realm of chaos into the mortal world, and Draigo was drawn through along with it. So was Draigo briefly reunited with his chapter, for a brotherhood had arrived on Jostero to combat Nakari's threat. Draigo was clearly long adrift in time, for he did not recognize these warriors, that they embraced him as their brother, and fighting side by side, they cast down the mad prophet of Jostero and banished his demonic allies. Alas, Draigo's victory was a hollow one, for when the gateway closed, the Grey Knight found himself drawn through the rift and trapped again within the warp. He had helped bring about the deliverance of Jostero, but could not save himself. Such has been Draigo's fate ever since, to walk the realm of chaos for unknown periods of time, on occasion taking his eternal battle into the mortal world for brief spans, before being freshly jailed upon victory. Since the Great Rift tore the Imperium asunder, Kaldor Draigo has found his way back into real space more and more frequently. Some of the Grand Masters believe that, as the Cicatrix Maledictum shredded the veil between reality and the warp, so did it weaken the bonds that tether Draigo to the Chaos Realm. Others believe that the forces of chaos that occluded the Supreme Grand Master's vision are now dispersed across dimensions, and thus Kaldor Draigo can perceive the needs of those he leads across the vastness of the galaxy. Regardless of reason, one thing is certain. Draigo has appeared to aid his Grey Knights multiple times since the opening of the rift. He has ever been witnessed fighting in different war zones on opposite sides of the galaxy. Perhaps the opening of the rift will allow his return. Perhaps it will seal his fate forever. The prognosticators are divided on this matter. Draigo himself does not spend his time musing over such issues. He uses what little time he has hunting down the foul spawn that the rift has regurgitated. Chief amongst his quarries, his old enemy, the demon Primarch Mortarion, the murderer of his predecessor. The Titan Sword. A relic of the earliest days of the Imperium, the Titan Sword has been entrusted to the Supreme Grand Master of the Grey Knights since records began. Stories of the Forceblade gave it many names: Mind's Edge, Foebane, and Life Drinker, to name a few. Legends say the Emperor forged the blade for a favoured general during the Unification Wars on Terra, teaching him how to use his mind to trigger its terrible powers. During the Great Crusade, it then passed into the hands of his champions, spilling alien blood on 100 worlds as mankind reclaimed the stars. When Malcador the Sigillite took the first Grey Knights to Titan, one of the relics he carried with him was rumoured to be the ancient Force Sword. Along with his pure genetic legacy and psychic power, it was one of the Emperor's gifts to the newly founded chapter, renamed the Titan Sword by Janus, the first Supreme Grand Master. The blade must be psychically attuned to each new master. Only once it is keyed to the mind of the wielder can its true killing power be called upon. The Titan Sword is more than a mere weapon. It is the badge of office of the Supreme Grand Master, a potent symbol of the chapter's sacred duty and the Emperor's fury given form. Every lord of the chapter has been the warden of this blade, and though many have used other weapons in battle, the Titan Sword's keen blade has slain more foul demons than any other. End quote. So, Kaldor Draigo has returned, and has his sights firmly set on none other than the Demon Prince and Primarch Mortarion, a chilling adversary, and the promise of a clash of arms second to none.
I like the way Baldermort talks, but he's kind of vague, like, returned? Is he in the physical world or still in the warp? I think Mortarion is in the warp, so I think when he says return, it's back to the warp. Let me know in the comments.
In my mind, it is as important and would be as dramatic as any battle between the Avenging Sun, Reboot Gilliman, and any of his tainted siblings.
Gilly.
We have yet to see if the Supreme Grand Master will again be sucked back into the warp on his doleful sojourn, but as things stand in February 2020, it does appear that his return could be for good. And that is the perfect way to coin it. For good.
Confused. Okay. Right before he said he was back, and I paused the video and said something about him being back, he said he was thrusted back into the warp. So I'm confused. It's good to know that he's back in the physical world right now. Because I would believe that the new Grandmaster, I know that they probably instated another Grandmaster. I know he probably wants the sword. But I'll talk about that later at the end of the video.
For there are few, if any, that can match the might of this champion of the Grey Knights, and it is certain that he will not want for action, nor have time to rest on his laurels. For if he does not stand against the ever-increasing gaggle of demon princes and demonic primarchs that are striding from the warp, then none can. I have been Baldermort, your faithful servant. If you have enjoyed my introduction to Supreme Grand Master Kaldor Draigo, then do please consider liking and subscribing. If you are a regular gentle listener and see the worth in what we are doing, then do please consider sharing the entry or, if resources permit, supporting us on Patreon. It will be a great boon and will permit the continuation of the work. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.
Alright, y'all, that is the video, and that is a little bit of Kaldor Draigo's story. I know that there's much more to it. Baldermort was kind of vague on certain details, but I got the gist that he was thrust into the warp and has been fighting there, and then sometimes coming back and fighting here, then going back, and at last he is on the material side, the physical side, whatever you want to call it, and that's a good thing. I've been watching some tabletop battles with the Grey Knights, and I've seen Kaldor Draigo on the table. I don't know if he was a character that you could use in sanctioned battles because he was in the warp, or could you still use him even though he was in the warp? I'm not a tabletop player. That's like a very expensive hobby. I am into the lore though a lot. Anyway, let me know the answers to some of the questions that I've asked, and tell me what you think. Also, like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers because I know not everybody is a YouTube premium purchaser, subscription holder. So therefore, those commercials that you see, YouTube gets all of it. I sit here and I make the content. At least give me a penny. 1 penny. But they won't allow it until I get to 1,000. So please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. Anyway, I hope everybody is doing good. Until the next video, I'm Ken. Peace. Where in the universe is Kaldor Draigo?
It seems like there is a biochemical basis for at least the way people identify, demonstrate, magnetize an imaginary category, something that we need to examine a lot more closely.
You need help.